Hello, everyone. Welcome to this podcast. Today, I would like to talk about Don Delillo, one of the most important American writers of the last 50 years. To begin with, Delillo is famous for writing about topics that are very relevant today, such as the media, technology, consumer culture, and terrorism. If you have ever felt overwhelmed by the amount of information surrounding us, by the constant presence of media, by political uncertainty, or by the feeling that technology shapes our lives more than we realize, you have already entered to this world, to this Delillo's world because of these interests that Delillo has. There are many critics that consider him as a postmodern writer. In this podcast, I will discuss his life, his influences, his major works, his writing style, and finally, why he is considered a postmodern author. In the first place, we have the influences or the beginning of this love for literature, for postmodern literature. And to this, we have to go to his background. His full name is Donald Richard Delillo. He was born in 1986 in the Bronx, New York. He grew up in an Italian American family, and unlike many famous writers, he wasn't a literary prodigy. So his passion for literature was developed while he was at college at Fordham University. When he finished his university, he worked in advertising. This is a really important moment in his life because this experience gave him a major influence in his fiction. Why? Because this one taught him how language influences people, how images shape behavior, and how modern societies communicate through slogans and media messages. So, as a result, many of his novels explore the power of language, images, and media. Also, we can see that Delillo was influenced by modernist writers such as James Joyce, William Faulkner, and Ernest Hemingway. This author also was influenced by the Cold War. In this moment, there were atmosphere of fear, there were uncertainty, and there was a paranoia for the constant threat of nuclear destruction that this generation had in answer to the Cold War. So this also appears in his novels, and we have that he has implemented also political violence. For example, in his book Libra, which is about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and there is also terrorism, conspiracy theories, and government secrecy. These themes became have become recurring themes in his work. Well, now that we have explored his influences, let's go on to his most important works. The first one is White Noise, published in 1985. And this one is an absurd satire about a college professor and his family facing an industrial toxic spill. And this one explores how modern society uses consumerism, media, and technology to distract themselves from the fear of death. The main theme here is that the people in this novel are fear, or they have fear about death. Yes, so they use this social media consumerism to distract this fear. Well, and we have that in this novel, the author combined comedy with very serious philosophical questions. What does it mean? That, for example, we have a quotation that says, "All plots tend to move deathward." Here we can see that this is a Delillo's style, because he is talking about in one level about the stories, and that every story eventually ends, right? And in the other hand, he's talking about human existence, that every life moves toward death. In this case, we can see that in this quotation, it is a simple quotation, but in these 5 words, he is doing a profound reflection about mortality. Yes, so in this case, we can see his style that Delillo has, combining comedy and philosophical interests. Well, in the next place, we have another novel which is called Libra. Libra is a book that focuses on the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It's a historical fiction novel that reimagines the life of Lee Harvey Oswald and the conspiracy behind the assassination of U.S. President John F. Kennedy. And the plot follows a group of resentful ex-CIA agents who plan a fake assassination attempt against the president to blame the Cuban government and start a war. To achieve this, they manipulate Oswald, a lonely and unstable young man. Well, what happened that into becoming the scapegoat for the plan? However, this as the fateful day in Dallas approaches, the secret plot springs out of control and turns into a real assassination, exploring how historical truth becomes impossible to decipher amidst so many theories, chaos, and media manipulation. So, in this case, we can see that there are conspirations behind the assassination of US President John F. Kennedy, but in this case, the author doesn't want to solve this mystery. Yes, to know who has done this. No, he wants to explore the desire to create explanations and patterns. Yes, so here the novel blurs the boundaries between history and fiction. So he does a relation with these ones, and invites to the reader questions whether objective truth is ever fully accessible. Okay, in the third place we have Mao Tzu. In here we have that this novel examines terrorism, mass culture, and the role of the writer in modern society. In this case we have one of the most famous quotation, which is the futures belongs to crowds. As we are going to see later, in Delillo's style or in Delillo's major, he thinks that there is not only one truth, that there is many truths, that things can be analyzed from different perspectives. So in this case, or in Mao Tzu, Delillo want to explain or to show that in a world dominated by mass media, social networks, and global communication, individual identity can seem less powerful than collective behavior. So in this case, he wants to show us, or he wants to emphasizes that, or he emphasizes that in this world globalized, social media makes us more individual than collective, and this is a problem because collective is more powerful than individuality. Also, we have another another novel, which is Underworld, and here we can see that this novel explores decades of American history through topics such as baseball, nuclear weapons, waste management, popular culture, and memory. As we can see, baseball, nuclear weapons, waste management, popular culture, and memory are objects or are faults that are considered ordinary, that we can't find them in daily life. But here the author connect these ordinary objects and events with vast historical forces, that seems that he is doing a connection or giving life or giving a position to these objects that in normal or in quotidian life they weren't they wouldn't be important, or they wouldn't have a place. But in this case, Delillo gives them a position, an importance unusual. So in this case, according to this and taking into account this, we can pass to the next part of this podcast. And this one is, why is Delillo considered a postmodern writer? Well, in first place, we have that postmodernism questions the idea that there is a single truth or a single way of understanding reality. I had mentioned this before, and as we can see here, as I have explained before, in Delillo's novel, we can see that he is showing that reality is filtered through media, technology, and language. That means that we receive information by media, but this information is filtered, yes? So it could be that some people choose what we can see, and the way that we receive that information, that means that we are not receiving one single truth, because behind that information that I received, for example, in social media, there are another truth. Also, he with this people do not experience events directly, so they experience them through television screens, news reports, advertisements, and digital information. Well, a second characteristic of postmodernism is fragmentation. Well, in Delillo's narratives are really straightforward. We can see that his characters move through disconnected conversation, overwhelming information, and multiple interpretation of realities. We can find a chapter with character, the next with another character, and the next with another character, and after that we are going to find that the author makes a connection between them, but they are not in the same chapter. Also, we have that these characters has random conversations between them or mentally, in order to give that fragmentation, because we have to take have to take into account that, or we have to be attentive which is talking, or which is, or what is trying to say. A third characteristic is uncertainty. Well, we can see in this word that he rarely provides clear answers. So instead, the novels encourage readers to live with ambiguity, and this uncertainty appears especially in Libra, where historical facts and fictional elements blend together. So is that confusion that, or not the confusion, but the fact that said that a baseball ball is taking life, but in our real life that doesn't happen, is one way to live in ambiguity. And another important feature of his style is irony. Well, he frequently writes about terrifying subjects using calm or bureaucratic language. For example, in Witness, a toxic chemical disaster is called an airborne toxic event. So we can see that there is that airborne toxic sounds softer than a toxic chemical disaster. The word event, instead of disaster, makes that this sounds like a television headline, instead of what it really is, a disaster. So this contrast between danger and detached language reveals how media can distance us from reality, right? So as you can see, we have these most important characteristics of modernism. That is one of the reasons that why Delillo is considered a postmodernist writer. Also, we can see that he is a cultural observer. He likes to philosophize modern life, and that he is also one of the most important voices of postmodern literature. Through works such as White Noise, Libra, Mautu, and Underworld, he has helped readers understand the first contradictions and complexities of the world we inhabit. And also that, as a consequence of that, is why his work continues to matter. We can see that they had passed a lot of time that this novel has been written, but they are still living inside many of them of the people who likes to this. So this is all for today. I really appreciate your passion. I really appreciate that you have listened to us. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next opportunity. Goodbye.